What's up, people? So, I just did a video, but I'm kind of on a roll, so decided to do another one. I don't know why, but there's been this spirit of fear looming over me when it's time to speak my truth. I don't know what that is, but I don't like it, and I'm gonna break that. And it's starting tonight, starting right now. So I just made a video, and this is the second video I making. So I've been studying tyranny, right? And shortly after, I discovered that I've been uh, a tyrant to myself. I've been looking at, all these bosses and all this egotistical hierarchies and systems and all this stuff, and I've been actively avoiding it and fighting against it, and to notice that I've been even a tyrant to my own self was like a humbling experience for me. So yeah, I wrote a story. Well, first I've been reading this book, which made me want to write a story. A book on tyranny, 12 Lessons from the 20th Century by Timothy Snyder. It's a pretty good book, or whatever. But yeah, so that kind of inspired me to write this one. So without further ado, this is called The Quiet Crown. And this is the prologue. So, people hear the word tyranny and think crowns, castles, iron gates, soldiers with no smiles. But that's just a costume. Real tyranny don't need armor. It don't need a throne. Sometimes it doesn't even need to raise its voice. Sometimes it sits right in your living room. Sometimes it sleeps in your bedroom. Sometimes it walks around in your chest, pretending to be you. Tyranny is simple: power without love, control without conscience, fear dressed up as authority. It's as cold as Pharaoh and as new as the boss with the headset mic telling you to breathe as on his schedule. It's the father who calls it discipline, which is when it's really punishment. It's the partner who says no one will love you like me, as if affection is a cage. It's the voice inside your mind that turns every mistake into a verdict. You'll never be enough. Don't even try. Stay small. A tyrant doesn't always shout. A tyrant whispers. Human beings have a strange talent. We create gods or monsters out of anything we fear enough. Once you fear it, it grows. And once it grows, it starts to feed. That's the thing about tyranny. It doesn't begin with chains, it begins with a flinch. A moment where you learn it's safer to shrink than to stand. A moment where you tell yourself, I'll just survive this, instead of I deserve better. All tyranny needs is a quiet surrender. One small surrender. After that, it doesn't ask permission, it takes. Look through history. you'll see it clearly. Pharaoh, Caesar, every empire with a lion carved into its banner started the same way. One scared man clutching power like a baby grips a blanket. When a man fears losing control, he becomes willing to crush everything beneath him just to feel tall again. That's the secret. Tyrants ain't strong, they're terrified. Tyranny is fear with teeth. But here's the part people forget. Tyranny don't just live in palaces or prisons. It walks through offices, it hides in relationships, it moves through screens, algorithms, the comment section full of ghosts. Tyranny is any system, any person, any inner voice that convinces you your life belongs to them, even yourself. The whole I'm for self thing is crazy, bro. I'll save that for another time, but yeah. The self worship that people have that I see so much of is disgusting to me. But I digress. And the saddest part, most tyrants never call themselves tyrants. They'll say they're keeping order, protecting the weak, maintaining stability. They'll use any language except the truth. This book ain't about politics. This ain't about picking sides. This is about recognizing the moment a crown goes crooked, whether it's on a king's head or your own reflection. In these 5 stories, we're diving into different faces of tyranny. One with a scepter, one with a clipboard, one with a wedding ring, one hiding in a mirror, one you scroll past every single day. 5 angles, 5 different storms, 5 ways power can go wrong. And at the end, when the dust settles, we're going to talk about breaking those chains. Not with rebellion alone, but with truth, memory, clarity, and courage. Because the opposite of tyranny isn't freedom. Freedom is just the doorway. The opposite of tyranny is identity. A soul that remembers its shape cannot be ruled by fear. So flip the page, watch the crowns tilt, the masks crack, watch the quiet suffering turn into something louder, stronger, sharper. We're not here to admire the tyrant. We're here to understand him and then break him. Okay, so story 1. This will probably be the only story I'll read tonight. If the video do well, I'll read other stories. But again, this book is on Amazon, so you could go get it. Story 1: The King Who Chained the Sun. There was a king once, young, brilliant, handsome in that dangerous way beauty becomes when nobody tells you no. They crowned him before his beard even connected, and the whole kingdom bowed because they believed his light meant salvation. He believed it too, at first. He wasn't born cruel. That's the part history forgets. Cruelty isn't a seed, it's a reaction, a scrambling, a grasp, a fear that takes shape in a man's chest when he thinks the world is slipping out of his hands. The king's father died suddenly, leaving behind a fractured throne room, and a council full of men with smiles too sharp. Everyone bowed low, but everyone whispered higher. They watched him like wolves pretending to prey. And somewhere in that pressure, the weight of a nation, the eyes of doubters, the ghosts of a father, the boy inside him cracked. He made one small choice, then another and another, until one morning the king looked out over his balcony and decided the kingdom wasn't his to serve, it was his to control. His first order was small: extend the work hours in the field. We must prepare for winter. People grumbled but obeyed. His second order: cut harder. No gatherings after sundown. Rumors spread too easily in the dark. People nodded but swallowed fear. Then came the third: no one speaks my name unless it is praise. No one questions my voice unless they seek punishment. That's how tyranny always begins. Not with a scream, but with a quiet rule everyone convinces themselves is reasonable. The council saw his spirit changing and told him gently, Your Majesty, the people need rest. He heard, Your Majesty, you're losing control. And fear twisted inside of him like a hooked blade. So he built a tower, a monstrous thing of stone and fire. On the top of it, he placed a mirror, polished to an impossible shine, so the sun's light could be redirected across the entire kingdom. He wanted them to never forget him, day or night. He wanted his shadow to fall across every living soul. He called it the Eye of Day, a symbol, he said. A blessing, he said. But every villager who walked beneath the eternal beam felt the truth burning their shoulders. He didn't want to be seen. He wanted to watch. He wanted no one to hide. The first whisper of rebellion came from a woman named Elijah, a healer, not a fighter, not a soldier, just a woman who held dying children and tired mothers in her arms every day. She saw the king's light tower and said, This isn't sunlight, this is surveillance. She wasn't wrong. People gathered around her at the riverbank, ordinary people, farmers, weavers, kids with dust on their knees. They didn't want war, they wanted a life. When the king heard about her meeting, he felt something cold tightening inside of him. Fear, not rebellion, of memory. Because Elijah used to serve in the palace when she was a child. She knew the boy he used to be. But Elijah used to serve in the palace when he was a boy. The king was a child. Okay, I'm bugging. She knew the boy he used to be. The tyrants cannot tolerate people who remembered their humanity. Humanity ruins monsters. So he ordered her arrest. I'm sorry, I'm kind of tired. It's like 3 a.m. But yeah, whatever. Okay. But when his soldiers reached the riverbank, the people formed a wall around her. Nothing violent, just human, just brave. Something tyrants didn't expect. Seeing this, the king panicked, truly panicked, and made the choice that sealed his story forever. He commanded the mirror atop the tower to be tilted, focused the sunbeam down upon the crowd. The eye of day, the king's pride, the kingdom's curse. Light became a weapon. Heat became punishment. People scattered, screaming, shielding their faces. The soldiers themselves recoiled from the burning ground. Elijah did not run. She looked up at the tower, hair blazing in the false light beam, and shouted with a voice that reached from the riverbank all the way to the palace walls. You were meant to warm the people, not scorch them. Something in him shattered at that. A truth he kept buried suddenly clawed its way to the surface. Because she wasn't talking to a king, she was talking to the boy he used to be. And the boy heard her. The tyrant did too. The king ordered the beam to stop, not out of mercy, but out of terror. Because in that moment, he realized every tyrant eventually fears the thing they created. The eye of day flickered, sputtered, then shattered. A sound like a dying star. Glass rained down from heaven, each shard catching sunlight as it fell. The people stood in awe as the tower cracked, split, and collapsed under its own weight. No one stormed the palace. No one rushed the throne. The kingdom didn't need to kill the tyrant. His own creation did it for them. The king dropped to his knees, exhausted, shaken, alone. Because when fear leads a man, every ally becomes an enemy. Every room becomes a threat. Every mirror becomes a verdict. Elijah approached him quietly. She didn't spit at him, didn't curse him, didn't she placed her hand, the same hand that once bandaged his scraped knees as a child, on his shoulders. You don't need power to be seen, she whispered. You need honesty. He wept, not the shallow crying of guilt, the deep, ugly sobbing of someone realizing he built a kingdom out of panic, and called it leadership. And in that moment, the people realized something important. A tyrant isn't just a monster. A tyrant is a frightened child with too much authority and too little love, still trying to manage the ghost they never faced. The kingdom didn't erase his name. They didn't write him as a villain. They wrote him as a warning, a reminder of what fear becomes when it picks up a crown. And that is where story one ends, not with victory, not with vengeance, but with recognition. But the first chain of tyranny breaks is the lie that makes you safe. So that's story one, and I don't know. Like this video if you want a part two or whatever. I'll probably do a part two even if you don't like it, to be honest, because hey, this is who I am. I'm a storyteller. So this brings me joy, so I'll do it. So yeah, I hope you like the story, and till next time, peace.